This is Smithy.tv.
3, 2, 1. Hey, this is Kenny Robinson breaking down the news. My guest in the studio today is Martha O'Neill. I want to stop saying Chavez because I usually only say the name Martha when it's a Chavez.
Do you know, it took her 3 years to learn my name.
Really?
How many Marthas in comedy in Canada are there? 2. That I've met.
Yeah, but Martha's the only one.
Well, she goes, I heard her say to Joanna a couple of years ago, what's her name again? I'm like, oh my God, I'm the only other Martha. I mean, come on.
Well, I think maybe that was because back then Martha used to partake in so many illegal goodies.
I think that might have had to do with it.
And for those of you that aren't in this studio, today is 420. That's right, April 20th,
Yes.
which means only a few days past the Internal Revenue call for stateside. And if you're not, if you're not, well, if you're over the age of 12, you know that it's the day of celebration of all cannabis culture. Mm-hmm. Or basically a bunch of lugheads getting high at City Hall going, you can't do anything with too many. Today is a celebration of marijuana. So are you planning to do anything for 420?
Do you know what? No, I had no plans. I might bake a cake when I get home. No, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it.
Well, see, for me, 420 means hopefully you're not on the Gardner because it seems like everybody at the 420 may as well be smoking weed because traffic isn't going anywhere.
I had a slice of pizza before I met you, and as you know, the studio is very close to where the big rally is, and I thought, I'm lucky I got this because in about an hour, this place will be jammed with people who need munchies. Like, it's going to be jammed.
If I was smart, I'd go get money out of the green machine and we'll just buy the pizzas up and double the price, huh?
Right?
But that would be kind of like the guys that sell Band-Aids outside of a plane crash, you know? It's
Well,
what was it, the phrase they had from during the war? Profiteering. That'd be, hey man, how could you rip us off on 420?
There was a great photo on Facebook or somewhere about a girl selling Girl Guide cookies outside of a medical marijuana dispensary.
Excellent.
And she sold hundreds of boxes.
Oh, in fact, now she wants to cut the Girl Scouts out. She's going, what? I'm giving 75 cents on the box to the guys that support the cookies, and 25 cents goes to my girl pack. Come on, I'm the one hustling out here. I'm the one taking the chances of getting robbed by a stoner.
If only my daughter was still a Girl Guide. The killing we could have made.
So, well, either that or if you can still fit her uniform, but that's a whole different kind of killing. So, were you once upon a time a heavy marijuana smoker?
No, I've never really partaken.
Really?
Occasionally, now in my late 30s, I started a little bit now and again, but really not much.
I find the older I get, the less I really want it.
Yeah, I think I was such a prim and proper young thing that, like, I had a boyfriend that smoked hash like it was nothing. But I never, ever partook. But I think since I started doing stand-up, just because of the culture we're in, and it's just more prevalent. There's the rooms, the pot rooms that we play.
Those are some good. Well, I know there's 3 or 4 pot rooms. The one I like the best is Puff Mamas.
Yeah, I like
if
that
it's
one
Puff
too.
Mamas, it's got to be good. Clandestiny, I think, is one of the names it had, or the Comedy Underground. I like it there because I find the audiences they're smarter, and they don't get as whacked out, and they allow you to create the material in front of them.
Right. Yeah, and I get hotbox there. So
Yeah,
I'll
me
go
too.
there. You know, but I don't. I've only done Vapor Central twice, I think. And the first time I said, "Can I go?" Like I such that room is really quite.
I haven't been
intense.
to that one.
Oh no, the one upstairs.
Yeah.
And it's.
I hear they get too stoned there.
And it gets really it's like so. I remember one time doing that room, and I asked to go first, and they said they were great, and I'm no prude. It's just I just know me.
Yeah.
And I did my set, and then I went to the Patio of Spirits, and I looked at my hand for half an hour. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
So I'm not very good at pot. That's my thing. Around the campfire when we're camping, maybe.
When you're outdoors, so it can drift over.
No, it's just kind of more the mood, you know.
Yeah.
Or with the girlfriends, because Joanna will pay you in cookies and brownies.
Yep.
So I'll put them in my freezer.
Oh, I can. My kids reach in and go, Dad, why are you hiding cookies from us? So
No, my son has a peanut allergy, so I write, contains peanuts, do not touch.
just so you've got them
Kid
for
you
your
not.
own use. That's great.
Well, mummies only, do not touch. Oh, I don't want them, they're too young, no.
I find myself, plus I live in Mississauga, so I drive. So if I come down for the pot rooms, I'm not getting high. I'm not smoking anything. I'm not having a beer.
Yeah.
But my big paranoia is that it's on my clothing.
Oh, right, you get pulled over.
And the Peel police, they're tough.
Yeah.
And like on a Tuesday night at 11:30, they'll have a spot check at my exit. And I used to smoke these grape flavored cigars, and they said, "Why were you smoking pot?" Well, I haven't been smoking pot, but I remembered you just came back from Mike Wilmot's birthday party, and he was smoking. So I haven't, but I know people that have. So I had to let the guy smell my thing. He goes, "If we bring a dog, is he going to find anything?" And meanwhile, I had my kid's hockey bag in the car, and I'm going.
You weren't sure.
I'm going. No, my son's hockey bag is worse. I'm thinking, well, they're going to shoot me for abusing their dog. So why'd you make our dog throw up? So I'm going, hey, if you can find something in my car, then bring your dog, dude. But I was so mad because he accused me of lying. Then he said, when was the last time you smoked pot? And I had to think, and I said, well, you can't tell him never, and you can't tell him 12 years ago. But,
realistically, I'd have to think last time I smoked pot.
It's actually I have pot because friends give it to me, and it dries up and it shrivels from lack of use, much like other parts of me. But it's very sad, And then I used to smoke a lot of it, but I noticed two things about marijuana. One, everybody else's always smells better than whatever you may have. Like, you ever just walk by somebody, you go, damn, that's some good bouillet they got, And meanwhile, the same guy sold it to you. You go,
That's part of it. I don't like the flavor.
The flavor or the smell?
Yeah. Well, the way it makes my throat, it's just,
well, that's why they start making blunts so you can mix it with different flavored tobaccos.
I never thought of that.
Oh, that kind of wacky stuff. Or water bong where you can put in, like, cheap wine or something like that they used to do in the 70s.
I like to have the brownies and eat those. That I can do.
Yeah.
But then you never know when it's going to hit, right? Because it's not like an immediate,
No.
puff.
And I've known somebody that ate a whole brownie, then they wound up going to the hospital that night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, one time with my girlfriends, we had a big dinner, and I had one cookie and one brownie, and I split each of them in three. And I gave, I know, ridiculous, suburban housewife. But, so here's your third of it. And nothing happened. So we thought, oh, well, maybe I froze them and they didn't, whatever. And then about 2 hours later, boom, all three of us were just out of our minds. But we'd forgotten that we'd eaten. We're like, what is going on?
So were you on the lawn dancing like Stevie Nicks or
I
just
tripped
staring
over
at each other? Or?
I tripped over we couldn't stop laughing. I tripped over the dog. It was the funniest night of my life. And so those kind of, makes me, but I couldn't do it on the regular. I couldn't.
No. Or another thing I'm very proud of was when standing in line at a bank or somewhere there's other people, and I smell weed on other folks. I can smell the weed on them, and I always go, thank God that's not me. Thank God it's not me just reeking of this devil weed. But
what happened to you, Kenny?
I don't. But that's like when I was doing, for a while. I was experimenting with with cocaine. And the thing about coke dealers, or not coke dealers, but coke users, is I always thought, well, at least you can't, at least we don't reek like weed dealers. At least you can't walk by and tell
your nose
until that we're all high out of our gourds. At least it's not stinking and giving it away like these marijuana people. So now,
no, cocaine scares me, actually. Those heavier drugs, they're too serious, man.
None of that stuff's any good. In fact, I was giving one of the younger comics a big speech about it. Because he's always asking me, how can you get to the top quicker? And I tell him this, and I tell him that, and I tell him, leave that shit alone. And he goes, well, you had your taste of it, so how come you tell? I said, well, how come when you ask me for advice, you only want advice of taking a shortcut, but you don't want to hear the advice of doing something that'll probably make things a way lot better in your life.
And faster.
Yeah.
Are there shortcuts, though, Kenny? No.
There are no shortcuts.
No.
There's no shortcuts.
It's work, luck, and timing. And funny.
well, yeah, the talent comes in there, and just that ability to know there's nowhere else to go but where you are.
We're wired differently.
Yeah,
we are.
It's what is it with comics or the entertainers that give us this need to have the approval of a room full of strangers.
I know, right?
And yet we'll tell our parents or our spouses, I don't give a fuck what you think of me. So that's usually when you have liquor, which is not something that happens with marijuana.
Yeah,
so.
No, that's true. There's an inordinate amount of comedians who enjoy pot versus other fields, I would say.
I don't know. I mean, musicians. I mean, what's funny? My dad, back in the 40s and 50s, used to have a dance studio. He was a tap dancer and a musician.
I didn't know that.
And my mom always says how he had the studio, and all the mothers would take their little girls there to learn how to tap dance. But a friend of my dad's, he said, reason why your father had that studio, so he had a place to go blow his weed. What? So apparently my dad and his partner, that was the big thing.
Oh,
was
funny.
So they had this dance studio, but the light was on. Wasn't anybody at 2 in the morning. Wasn't anybody tap dancing at 2 in the morning. He goes there. He put the record player on, so they'd be like Count Basie or Duke.
So it was like
Ellington
his den, like his what do they call it, man cave.
That was his man cave, except for it was his dance studio, And then he had a charter for an after-hours club when nobody else could get a liquor license. But
That's so funny.
and then my mom would say, "Oh, your dad might have had a little joint." But when he had his booze cans, every time the jazz guys like Louis Armstrong or Duke Ellington came to town. They didn't have to look for weed because my dad was there.
Oh, funny. Oh my God.
And then my mom would, give my dad some of her friends that were party girls. So the party girls and the marijuana was there.
That's so funny. See, I grew up I came from a very, very conservative, like, we're booze drinkers. Like, the Scottish, Irish,
Right.
it's all about the booze.
Yeah.
I mean, my family, no, drugs are bad, but
Yeah, I
here,
think they
would
would've
you
loved the
like a
green.
scotch?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it's just the way you're raised.
It was interesting, though. My mom would tell me stories about these musicians because she'd talk to her girlfriends afterwards. Duke Ellington, he only liked to put the tip in. I know. And I walked
Why?
half across. He didn't want anything. Maybe it was a way of not getting venereal disease.
That's ridiculous.
I read this one biography about Duke Ellington, and he never wanted women scratching him or clawing his flesh. So maybe he thought, well,
Was he married? Like, was it like his wife seeing...
who wasn't married? But whatever. Maybe he was such an elegant kind of dandy
Yeah.
that he probably didn't want
Oh,
to
maybe.
be clawed.
Yeah.
So maybe he thought, well, I won't give him any reason to claw me. I'll just put the tip in.
That is the weirdest thing.
Well, I walked out half an audience in Montreal when I told that story. Also told the
Did you
story.
really?
Well, that and the Louis Armstrong story. My mom had a friend named Risa. She actually taught me how to ride a bike. They went up to the hotel in Winnipeg, and the door was ajar, and they walked in, and Risa was sucking Louis Armstrong's titty while he had a glass of scotch in one hand, and he was playing with his Johnson at the other. So, with boxer shorts on. Oh, yeah. So I told that story in Montreal, and about a third of the room walked, and I
Really?
and I yelled, "What? You people have no appreciation for jazz?" But
These are the men who created modern blues.
And then I had no more jazz stories except for Ella Fitzgerald sat in the back car after they ordered a double order of ribs, and my mom says she broke the springs in the back seat. And then I had no more jazz stories to tell, So it was sad. But I guess jazz musicians, like you said, Louis Armstrong used to have like a coffee can full of weed that he traveled with all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny. I worked at Ontario Place at the Forum. You remember the Forum?
Yeah, that was great. I saw some great shows there.
I worked backstage. My job was to take care of the bands.
Okay.
And there wasn't a lot of the bands smoked. I mean, it was the '80s, but I did meet James Brown. I have a good James Brown story.
And got him some animal tranquilizers?
No. He was such a weird man, but it was the coolest. I mean, this entourage of like 60 people, and it was his wife, the one he went to jail for hitting.
Which one was that?
Adrian.
He threw one from the bridge. Can you take it to the bridge?
Just a strange man. I have a long story. I'm not going to cut into your whole podcast.
No,
but-
you want to hear this James
Okay,
Brown
okay.
story?
Well, he had a backup singer named Martha. I can't remember her last name. Martha Harg or something like that. But if your name is Martha, you're usually the only Martha in the room.
Yeah.
And so he'd sit there, and he was there all weekend. So entourage him, and he'd like, Martha! And both of us would come running because we're used to being the only Marthas. He's not you, and then like he'd do it again, not you, and but he was sitting on the bench outside of his
It was
dressing.
easy to go, White Martha.
Yeah, I know, right? And he, just after the matinee on the Saturday, he was sitting on, it was a very industrial backstage area so cars could drive in, but he was sitting outside of his dressing room on a bench, and he's just sitting there, and he's in his robe, and whatever, and he sees me, I'm carrying a deli tray somewhere. He goes, Martha, come here, sit down. And he sits me down, and he said, how old do you think I am? How old do you think I'm? Like, and I knew exactly how old he was. I'd read the whole bio writer. And I'm like, I don't know, 40? He's like, I'm 54. I'm 50. And did you see me out there dancing? I was dancing for 2.5. And he was on and on and on and on and on. And he was amusing. And all my friends are walking by. And I'm like, and then we had a clown band. They were university students, music students, who would dress up as clowns, and they'd go entertain the children at Ontario Place.
Okay.
But their dressing room was backstage where
Near
we
James
were.
Brown.
Near James, but they'd have to cut through and go to theirs, right? And they're walking in on their break, and they're sweaty, like 20-year-old music students, just clown paint dripping off them. And you come in, and then there's James Brown in his robe and me sitting there, and he's just talking away. And I think they didn't clock him until like really close. And then oh my God, it's James Brown. And then he sees them and goes, "Are you boys musicians?" And they're like, "Yes, Mr. Brown," because they had their little instruments. He said, "Play us a song." And these boys played like they were being like auditioning, and but they couldn't still sweat and clown makeup and like the most amazing blues riff, and I'm just doing this kind of what the, and then they finished, and James Brown's clapping, and I'm and I think I said out loud, that was really fucked up. And I feel bad because it really was one of the most fucked up moments of my life.
Good thing you weren't high then.
Then I wouldn't have remembered it.
So, James was notorious for finding his band. Mm-hmm. Like, if they missed a beat, fine. If your shoes weren't shined, you got fined.
Wow.
If you didn't have a crease in your pants. So I'm thinking, wouldn't it be great if he had, just taken that clown band on?
Drippy.
Your nose ain't red enough. That's $5 off the check.
And then, just to put a cap on this, at the World Series of Comedy, I was there in 13, I think it was. I can't remember what year it was. It was a couple of years ago. And I was at an open mic in Las Vegas, and I met his next wife, who was the mother of his boy. I'm like, it was just a scuzzy little bar, like a really scuzzy with a tiny little room, probably not much bigger than this room here. And I can't remember her name, was Bobby Lee or something like that. And she was, I just can't remember her name.
Wow, some people know the members of James's band.
I
You
know
the
his
names
wives.
Of his wives.
She showed me a picture. I'm like, you were just lying to me. There's no way you are James Brown's widow. She goes, yes, I am. Like, how is it James
Showed
Brown?
you the empty bank account?
Yeah. No, she showed me the picture of her son, and then I Googled her, and sure enough, and I'm like, this is the weirdest thing.
Wow.
I think he's my spirit animal.
Well, that you could do far worse than having the Godfather look after you.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think just the fact that you're doing this whole She Dot Festival, because he went and bought the radio station that he used to shine shoes in front of.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So, and he was all about owning his own stuff. One great song was ain't asking nobody for nothing. I get it on myself. So he's all about kicking the door and seizing it. So if he's looking,
Maybe I'm channeling.
maybe you are channeling maybe you are the godmother, and maybe and maybe next year you need to have a band of clowns.
And I need a cape.
You need a cape and a band of clowns. If you get a big theater where you have a house band, you can, a band of women dressed as clowns.
Yeah.
I want to tell you something. There was a female clown once at City Hall. I took my daughter to see the Sailor Moon girls that were there.
Right, yeah.
And they had a clown, and I was a single guy, and I was checking out this female clown, this chick clown, and I'm going, you need to ask her out, dude. And then I thought, if she says no, how does your ego ever recuperate from being shot down by a clown?
So you took the cautious route, I take it.
I just...
You didn't ask the clown out?
No, I didn't ask the clown out. I'm not going to get turned... I'm a headliner. I'm a legend in my own mind. How can I get turned down by a clown? And all these clowns get together and talk about the clown that she turned down. No, I can't have that.
Oh, but the nose, Kenny.
Oh. What you gonna say? Sorry, besides those shoes, 13. I don't date anybody with 17 or less. I mean, just too many bad things could happen with me for that one.
Oh, so, God bless. God bless. That's funny.
And there's been too many times when I wondered, that could have been my soulmate underneath all that makeup, And I wish I got her card or remembered her name. And now every time I see a female clown, I always kind of give that
twinkles.
Look is it you? But then I don't want to become I guess all of us female clowns look the same. Then I'm some kind of ishish.
I was like, what is it? Wouldn't be sexist or racist. It would be
clownist.
Clownist.
Well, no, because that'd be if I hated clowns.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Apparently P. Diddy, he shits himself and
Really?
changes his name if you bring a clown near him.
Is he terrified of clowns?
He's terrified.
A lot of people are.
I don't know why.
I don't know why
I saw
either.
the picture of John Wayne Gacy, and other than that, I can't think of a scary clown.
Yeah. No, it's true. I don't understand that phobia, but...
So, hey, they're getting rid of the live animals at circuses pretty soon. They're going to say, and the clowns scare our children. So all they'll be is...
the saddest juggler in the world.
A juggler with regular clothes on and a bunch of European guys riding motorcycles inside a ball. And
Except, no, the carbon monoxide. You can't have motorcycles inside.
there'll be electric bikes. and there'll be one sad, overweight, tight walk roper.
Only that far off the ground, because we don't want a lawsuit.
Don't want to scare the children with a splat. Anyway, we just about run out of time for this one. So this is Martha O'Neill. Check her out on on the internet. She Comedy Festival happening at the end of April to the first couple days of May. I'm Kenny Robinson. This is Breaking Down the News. And if you've been celebrating 420, hope you light up. And may you not see a bunch of clowns looking at you as the background spins and you hear and all the clowns' faces start to melt. Because if that happens, somebody gave you some bad shit, man.